What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys all had a great Friday and are looking forward to a great weekend. I hope you guys are ready for another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft with you guys, of course, with the Catch fam. Super excited to be here with you guys tonight. We're hopping into a 12-team full PPR redraft mock for the night. You guys know what to do, man. Hit that like button on the way. And if you guys are new to the channel, all we do here is free fantasy football content all year round, redraft, dynasty, and best ball. So hit that subscribe button on the way. And if you guys are into that, but most importantly, hop in the live chat. Let me know what's popping. Let me know how you guys are doing. Any fantasy football topics, redraft, dynasty, best ball, any NFL topics, get it going. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy football. Like I said, super excited to be here with you guys. We're not going to waste any time. Told you guys we're getting this started right at 11:05. So there's your draft order. And the draft is underway, ladies and gentlemen. So here we are, guys. 2 days in to June. And I just feel like every day that I wake up now, fantasy football is just inching closer and closer. I cannot wait for this season. All right, here at the 1.2, it's very, very tough. I mean, you got Bijan, you got CMC, you got Eckler. Still got Chase here. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase, but it's not, I don't know. I don't want to say it's not set in stone. I love JJ and Chase as the first two players off the board. But, and there goes Cooper Kupp at 3, which I'm not even mad about. But I haven't fully decided if I fall into that early tier where I'm at 1.1, 1.2, potentially 1.3, and I have the opportunity to draft one of those elite wide receivers over an elite running back. I haven't fully decided which route I want to go, but I think I'm leaning towards the JJ Jamar Chase side of things, but I don't know. But it depends on who you're drafting with, right? Like tonight we see Bijan go out to or fall out to the 1.7, but I don't even know if fallout's the right term because it really just depends on who you're drafting with. But I do think the closer and closer we get to August, the more we're going to see Bijan being drafted in the top 5, and really for me, he is hands down a top 5 player going into this coming season. But I just think with the value we've seen at the wide receiver position as of late, that Chase and JJ are going to continue to be the first two players off of the board. But it looks like Sleeper updated their overall ADP for the first of the month. So they do have CMC as the number 1 overall player, followed by Austin Eckler. So, I mean, you know, historically, looks like See You Soon is running late, so we'll give him the auto pick. But I mean, historically, obviously, with those first overall couple selections, you're seeing a running back go off the board. You know, like I said, traditionally, historically, in fantasy football. So I'm not surprised by that, but I do feel like a lot of fantasy managers out there are still leaning towards Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. All right, let's see who's in the live chat. Thank you guys for being here tonight, man. Super stoked. Just excited to get another mock done with you guys. So, Cats, what's going on, my dude? Hello, hello. How we doing, man? Totally missed last night's stream while I was in the Dynasty mock. Didn't even see it. Yeah, last night was like super crazy. We did a redraft mock earlier in the night. Had to initially cancel the stream, then was able to come. I just decided, you know what, I'm getting on. It's the first of the month, and I want to talk some fantasy football. Been on a little bit of a break, and I had the itch. I needed to get on. So, got on anyways. Wanted to hop into an Underdog draft. Wanted to get some exposure into the new puppy tournament, and then we were putting together a Superflex Dynasty startup mock, and I thought that would take longer to fill, and it actually started to fill pretty quickly. And so we were running the Dynasty mock while doing an Underdog draft, and also reviewing some of the single quarterback Dynasty teams from our first single quarterback Dynasty league. So last night was a lot of fun, but it was pretty hectic overall. So, but it's all good, Cats. Appreciate you being here tonight, my dude. How we doing, man? Boxing the Jack, what's up, my guy? How's it going? How's everyone doing? Thomas, what's up, my guy? On my second energy drink, stuck at work. Let's go, man. Don't get too delirious off the caffeine. But I hope the shift goes smoothly, even though it looks like you're going to be there pretty late. But how you doing, Thomas? Always good to see you, man. J-Dubs, what's going on, my dude? What are you up to over there? What's going on, man? Smokey, what's up, what's up? Hope everyone is doing fantastic. All right, we'll give another auto to see you soon. Taylor, what's going on, man? Hope you all are... hope everyone had a good Friday. Right back at you, man. Thomas knows there's a capital and lowercase yes for the question of the night. Most people pick the lowercase yeah. Obviously, both of the answers are the same because I know everyone is ready for the fantasy season. But probably just because it's the first option, easier to select overall is probably what happened. So, all right. I'm just gonna let you guys draft. I got a while till I'm on the board. So, you know, I really think that Garrett Wilson. I don't know. I want to really break down the first round of redraft style mocks at the moment because definitely think JJ, Chase, Cup, C-Mac, Eckler, Bijan, Hill, those 7 guys will be gone. But I do think there's a fair amount of debate once you get to like the 1.8 all the way to the 1.12. I think Kelsey will be gone, so that's 8 players. So really, the 1.9 through the 1.12, I really think that you could have a fair amount of debate. And I do think that there's a handful of players who could certainly make it into that overall range, right? I mean, you know, we look at the board tonight, right? Diggs, Barkley, Adams, Taylor. I still think in redraft that Adams needs to be there. I don't mind Barkley being there. I don't mind any of these players being there. But I think guys like Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and call me crazy, even Jahmyr Gibbs can all creep into the first round. And like, I don't think anyone would be overly shocked if any of those guys were taken the first round. Then you got CeeDee Lamb, you got A.J. Brown. Like, I don't know. I just think the end of the first round right now is very, I don't want to say up in the air, but it's definitely debatable about who should be going overall. Man, I was hoping Pollard would fall out. I mean, I don't really mind going in a couple different directions here, but we'll go ETN. I'm not worried about the workload being split. We'll be okay here. Jimbo, what's going on, man? Will you watch the Elf tomorrow? The Christmas movie Elf? Not tomorrow. I say that. Save it for Christmas, dude. What's up, Jimbo? All right, here's an interesting question for you guys: Travis Etienne or Ramondre Stevenson? Who do you guys like more? Because I was kind of stuck between those two right there. So I went Breece Hall at 2.11 because I want Breece Hall. Okay, look at Breece Hall is another player who I like. If Hall was fully healthy last season, I don't think it's crazy whatsoever to say that Hall would be a first round selection. So like I love Breece Hall at 2.11, but I'm not purely confident that come August time he's really going to be a player that I'm going to be able to select at 2.11. You know what I mean? But we'll see. I just really think with Rodgers going to that offense taking a step forward overall, that Hall's going to have a very good year. I mean, it's the same argument when you look at like Garrett Wilson. You know, I just think the offense is going to be better. We saw what that offense was when Hall was healthy last year with incompetent quarterback play for the most part. I just love Breece Hall, right? So, but I mean, I knew that Taylor, you know, especially after you went Higgins, I knew that Pollard wasn't going to fall out. But for whatever reason, I felt like Pollard had a better chance of falling out potentially than Breece Hall. Plus, I feel like as much as I like Pollard, my personal conviction lies with Breece Hall. Anyways, Taylor says Ramondre, in my opinion. Yeah, it's very, very close for me. But you know, it's one of those things where like my heart was saying ETN, my gut was saying Ramondre Stevenson. Thomas, the only wide receivers I like ahead of Garrett Wilson in redraft are Chase, JJ St. Brown, Lamb, and AJ Brown is close. Yeah, I mean, I still have Adams in the mix, but I will say I think a lot of fantasy managers a little bit hesitant about Adams right now, just with like, I don't know, comments here and there, even though he's saying not to read into them, and then the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. So I think that's fair, but Adams is, you know, consistently a fantasy productive player, to say the least, right? Tyreek Hill's got to be in that mix as well, right? I mean, uh, but I love that list of players, and I can see why some of you guys out there are going to be fading players like Diggs, like Adams in the first round, and potentially Cup or Hill if you're going for the upside of a younger player. I can understand that, but I mean, you guys know that I kind of go for a little bit more consistency overall, but I absolutely love, I mean, every player you named, of course, and I would say that, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, two players that I'm not concerned about reaching for whatsoever going into next season. Oh, European League of Football. I was way off. I was like, I know I talk about Elf a lot during Christmas time on the channel, being that's my favorite Christmas movie, but I was way off. No, I didn't even know that was going on. I'm not going to lie to you, my dude. Smokey says City wins tomorrow. Yeah, you guys have to keep me updated. Taylor, I think Cup has to be in the mix. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the pace he was on last year before getting hurt, just ridiculous. Yeah, Taylor pointing out the quarterback run. Yeah, very heavy. I mean, Hurts at 3.11, Allen at 3.12. Then we got Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, and Fields all in the fourth round here. All right. There is an immense amount of DJ Moore hatred in the fantasy community right now. And I am sticking to my guns, and I'm going to keep drafting DJ Moore and have no problems whatsoever with it, and still be of the belief that the Bears offense will take another step forward going into next season. So let me know in the chat, how are you guys feeling about DJ Moore overall? And I just like DJ Moore's value on the board. And I don't think he's going to have like a top 10 season even necessarily. I think top 15 potentially is much more realistic. And I just think the consistency, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be there this year. All right, let's take a look here. This tier of wide receiver is really interesting. Let's go Christian Watson here. But it's definitely an interest. I mean, Chris Godwin, McLaurin, Pittman, Judy, Evans, Mike Williams, so many different question marks around a lot of those guys, and most of it has to do with the quarterback position. I mean, Godwin and Evans, obviously, right? It's gonna be Trasker, my boy Baker, Terry. I think Terry would be fine with Howe. Pittman, I think, will be okay with Richardson there. Judy, I mean, the theory is that the Broncos take a step forward this year. Judy will be fine, hopefully. But we have said that plenty of years in a row about Judy. But nonetheless, and then Mike Williams, I mean, more of an injury thing. So that overall tier, I think I'll just go with the upside, take Christian Watson there. Jimbo, it's the successor of NFL Europe is booming in Europe. Oh, okay. I think Rainfire against Frankfurt Galaxy would be a great game. Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye on it. And if any of you guys out there are watching it, keeping up with it this season, please let me know and bring it up on Discord. And kind of like some of you guys did with the XFL for me, just kind of keep me updated and everything. Thomas, I'm good on Adams. Having no contact might affect them towards the end of the season. If the Raiders are done and Adams pulls a Lamar and sits the last few games, why risk injury? Oh, no contract. Not no contact. Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, wide receiver 3 last year, wide receiver 2 the year before, wide receiver 1 the year before that. 2019, missed a couple games, so still had 997 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, but wide receiver 23 and wide receiver 3 in 2018. But I think that's a fair perspective. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, if you guys are fading those more veteran-esque wide receivers towards the end of the first and going for players that offer more upside, I don't particularly have a problem with that. So, oh gosh, what's Joe Mixon doing off the board? Okay, we'll switch that up. Don't know what happened to Rocky, but a little bit too early for Mixon. Gosh, for those of you guys that were in the Superflex startup mock earlier, I ended up drafting 6 teams, trying to keep it realistic. That was just ridiculous. J-Dub says, I love the more hate. Let me get fifth round more. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm fine with his ADP. Like, I will say, I mean, if DJ Moore moved up in ADP overall, like literally like one more round, I wouldn't be as comfortable. You know, I totally get, like last year, right, when Baker went to the Panthers and DJ Moore's ADP like shot up to the third round. I was very vocal about not being a fan of going after DJ Moore at that particular value. So if DJ Moore, which I could certainly see this happening, if his ADP rises throughout the offseason, like there's like a report today that came out, like DJ Moore's constantly shredding defensive backs at Bears OTAs or whatever, right? And like just little reports like that continue to come out, and reports like, let's say, about Justin Fields looking good or whatever, like the offense as a whole looking good, which I could certainly see happening. This hype around that team happening throughout the offseason. I can see Moore's ADP rising, and I like him as a wide receiver 2. Love him as a flex option, but I don't want to be dependent on him as a wide receiver 1. So, you know, next to a guy like Chase, I'm fine with that. So we'll see. But between the 4th and 5th round, completely happy with that ADP at the moment. Taylor says, didn't Adams sign a 4-year contract? Yeah, I didn't make any comments, but I thought that his contract overall was a little bit longer than that. Thomas says, I'm wrong. Never mind. Don't read this. No worries. But yeah, I mean, like, overall, I can understand. But I do think that guy in redraft formats, wide receivers like Diggs and Adams are going to bring a lot of consistency to the table. But if you would rather go for the upside of players like Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, even if it's at the 1.8, 1.11, I do not have a problem with that. You guys have seen me select Amon-Ra St. Brown pretty early in a lot of redraft mocks throughout the offseason. And we've seen Garrett Wilson overall go very early on top of that. So I'm completely fine with that. Man, I was praying Brandon Ayuk would fall out here. I literally almost went Ayuk over Christian Watson. I mean, you guys went on an absolute tear at the wide receiver position. I didn't think Ayuk would fall out that far, but as I kept looking at the board, I was a little hopeful, not going to lie. All right, let's see. A couple directions I could take this. Here, I'll help you out, Andrea. You looks like you just missed that pick. I don't know. I'll give you a better player than Mixon. How about that? It's a tough pick here. I'll go JSN here. Yeah, there's a little smidge more of upside at the position. Yeah, it's tough because, like, so far, my strategy in redraft drafts has been to go late round quarterback. So, Herbert's sitting here and Trevor Lawrence sitting here as we're moving into the 7th round. Very tough to pass up both those players. Could certainly add some good running back depth here as well. Could draft another wide receiver. There's some studly tight ends, but I've also been kind of holding off at the tight end position in redraft formats. And I think I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go Rachaad White here. Being that there are some concerns around Travis Etienne's workload at the moment, I'm happy with JSN at 6.11, happy with Rachaad White at 7.2. But definitely some really good players at the quarterback and tight end position on the board at the moment. So we'll see how it shapes out. But, I mean, I just think in single quarterback redraft formats right now, the value you can get at the quarterback position at the end of your draft after just stacking up wide receivers and running backs. I mean, it's something I talked about a lot last offseason, right? It is load up at wide receiver, load up at running back, and let a tight end and or quarterback fall to you and get that good value. It just when you look at some of the top guys last year, I don't need to read them off for you, but Jared Goff, Geno Smith, even Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, like Daniel Jones. Just so many players at the position last year who went undrafted or were dropped towards the beginning of the season. Just guys we didn't even think were going to be fantasy relevant at all. Were top 10, top 8 players, top 5 players. So, not a lot of those guys were top 5, but did Fields finish? No, he dropped back to 7. So, okay. My bad. And Lawrence was 8. So, top 8 was correct. But nonetheless, I just, it's tough, right? Because when you look at Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, Burrow, the top tier overall. Kirk Cousins, number 5. You can't forget about Captain Kirk. That's my bad. But the point differential between the elite quarterbacks last year and everyone else was just absolutely wild. So I get why fantasy managers, why some of you guys out there want to go quarterback early, and I'm not against it. But I just, personally right now, the strategy I'm running overall is going with late round quarterbacks and single quarterback redraft formats. That is so. Let's see. Thomas, how you feeling about the Kansas City wide receivers this year? Saying D-Hop doesn't go there. So Kadarius Toney off the board here at 7.11. I think Toney in redraft formats is worth the pick at in the end of the 7th round, going into the 8th round. I would take Toney there all day. I think when you look at Rashee Rice and Sky Moore, their ADP doesn't hold a lot of risk. I like them in dynasty formats, both young guys. But obviously you look at Sky Moore's production in that offense last year was essentially nothing. So it's tough to really read how wide receivers develop in that offense. I do think that Sky Moore could, be a big part of that offense going into the season, right? MVS is still there, but Hardman's gone. So, there's going to be more targets to go around. But, there's a point last season where Juju and Hardman were productive and MVS was productive enough, through the playoffs, but not a lot of consistency at the position in that offense. So, I'll say this much. If we're talking from a redraft perspective, I don't have anything against going out and getting them because you don't have to spend a tremendous amount of draft capital on them. But I would be lying if there's really a player, if I was saying there's really a player I'm set on at the position on the team. It probably had to be Toney, but do I trust Toney for a full season? Probably not. But could he be a viable flex option? You look at Box and the Jacks team, right? He's got Adams, Brown, and Cooper. That's perfectly fine, right? To go out and get Toney, get the upside, get the boomer bust potential on the team. And I do think that if I'm taking a risk on anyone right now, it probably is Toney. It just kind of depends. I like Rashee Rice, but it's just, like I said, a tough offense to really take a look at how quickly players develop at the position overall with the sample sizes that we have. Another thing is Travis Kelce's still there, so it's the true wide receiver one is still going to be Kelce. But yeah, I'm not overly confident that there's going to be a ton of consistency between the Chiefs wide receivers. But I would certainly go for the risk at the right draft capital overall, if that makes sense. Let's see here. Taylor says JSN snipe had me panicked. My bad, bro. My bad. Oh, you got Herbert and Johnston. Nothing wrong with that. Godfather, what's going on, man? Always good to have you in the house. What's up? Hope you're doing fantastic. Thomas, Kadarius Toney could be nice late round value. Cuff of Sky Moore, maybe. Justin Ross is the other player who's coming up a lot. It's just, I do think that a lot of these players John Ross, not Justin Ross. But I do think a lot of the wide receivers on the Chiefs will be productive throughout the season, but I just don't know what type of consistency we're going to get. Cat saying Richie James is being slept on. I think Richie James will have some good games too. Richie James, weeks 11 through week 17 of last year had some really good games with the Giants. So I don't think that's crazy to say necessarily, but I just don't get me wrong. They're tied to the Chiefs' offense, so they're worth taking a risk on, 100%. Thomas, will Kansas City ever have a true wide receiver one? Potentially. Will it be to the level of what Tyreek Hill did? That's probably going to be pretty hard to accomplish. And that's the thing, if you're looking at Sky Moore, I don't think he fits the bill of a wide receiver one, but he could certainly be a very, very productive player within that offensive scheme. I do think that, if you're taking a chance late on Rashee Rice, he could develop into that type of player, for sure. But there's also a chance he's another Sky Moore and is more of a, because you look at guys like Hardman, for examples, when you think of McCole Hardman, you know exactly what's on the table, right? And it could just be these players kind of come into the mold and offer whatever they're going to offer, and the ceiling's not incredibly high. So it's tough to say, man. Taylor says it's Bateman season, by the way. Let's go. I mean, I do think Bateman has a phenomenal ADP and is worth selecting where he's going off the board. I got him at 9.1 tonight. I'd be completely fine with that. Man, I faded tight end, and I just missed Cole Kmet. Just missed him. What a bummer. All right, give me McKinnon. I have a lot. Well, I don't know. 5 running backs. That's fine. I'm trying to think of something creative at tight end. Okay. Interesting tier of quarterbacks right here. Tua, Kirk, Danny Dimes. Tua's injury risk. Cousins. We touched on Cousins earlier. QB 6 last year. I said it was QB 5. I'm messing up my last year quarterback rankings. Danny Dimes, I think Daniel Jones could actually have a really nice season. I don't know. In redraft, I don't think this decision makes or breaks this squad necessarily. Give me 2 a time. Let's do it. Thomas, heard Richie James going to be more special teams. Yeah, and I mean, anyone can kind of, develop out of that special teams role, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, in best ball formats, right, especially if I'm drafting Mahomes early, I'm taking a chance on Richie James, taking a chance on Sky Moore, on Rashee Rice, for the stack possibility. And just in general, Richie James can be easily the final selection of a puppy draft right now, and I would take him all day in that aspect. But even from a redraft perspective, it's not really that much of a risk to go out and take a player like Richie James with one of your final selections. You don't really have to reach for him, Pete's in the building. What's up after the review? Sports. Sleeper KJ Osborne killing it at OTAs. Yeah, I saw an article about that, and him, basically the article was he was not going to back down from that wide receiver 2 spot and hand it over to Jordan Addison without a fight. So, but yeah, I mean, Osborne's always been great in his respective roles. So I think he's going to have a good year. I think maybe you don't bring it up if you want to draft him, especially as a Vikings fan, right? But don't get me wrong. I understand why he's taken such a hit in ADP overall from a fantasy perspective. But at the same time, there's definitely a world where Addison and KJ Osborne can be productive, but I mean, we just know that Justin Jefferson is going to see a ridiculous amount of targets. Had 184 last year, 167 the year before that. So we shall see. But yeah, full PPR formats. I love Osborne as a late round pick. I mean, he is. Let's see here. Currently, his ADP is sitting at 185 and a half. So that's pretty dang good value. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving into the 12th round, and then we'll wrap it up in the 13th round. Pete says, when you need 12 guys to cover JJ, someone else is going to get touchdown. That's a good point. Thomas, I liked Osborne so much until the draft. I don't know now. Yeah. And Pete's saying he's a stash guy. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If you need wide receiver depth at the end of your draft, go out and get that final player. If you're going to make it Osborne, that's fine. I mean, injuries do happen at the position. And there's certainly a world where Osborne ends up competing for more snaps overall than Jordan Addison. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I do think he's a good value, though, right now. What do you think about the running back situation for the Vikings right now, Pete? Do you think that Cook is truly on the move? Like, can we close that chapter and accept it? Because I feel like most fantasy managers would really like to do so. And I feel like a lot of people already have. Do you feel like there's going to be any type of running back by committee with Dwayne McBride there? Or do you think Madison takes it all the way? All right, give me Jawan Johnson because I kind of fumbled at tight end tonight. I probably should have gone with like Freiermuth or Komet or Njoku over Dillon or Lazard. But I'll go later on tight end tonight. It doesn't feel great. I feel like Cook is gone via trade or cut. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be a thing, right? Where's he going to go? Like, I want to know where Zeke's going to go. I want to know where Cook's going to go. I want to know what's going to happen with Mixon. I honestly thought at this point in the offseason we would have an answer to, like, at least one of those questions. All right, guys, as we wrap up the final round here, let me know in the chat if you guys want a team review. We'll go over a couple teams here, and that'll do it for the night. Thank you guys so much for drafting with me and hanging out. All righty. Taylor at the 1.1. All right, we got Herbert at quarterback, Kittle at tight end. I mean, even in redraft formats, I know we only ran 5 bench spots. The verdict's kind of out there. I mean, some leagues 4 bench spots, some 5, some 6. So, I think 4 is a really fun challenge, but it definitely makes things a little bit difficult. I played in a Superflex league last year that only had 4 bench spots, and that got tough at times. But nonetheless, if you draft Kittle, you draft Waller, if your starting tight end has any injury history that concerns you, I would recommend at the end of your draft just getting somebody else. But redraft, certainly the best format to have a player like George Kittle, and there's no problem with drafting George Kittle. But I said it all last offseason, Kittle missed first 2 games of the year. So, anyways, you're still fine at quarterback and tight end. Just a little note. All right, Pollard, Jones, Pirine, Zeke, and Tajay Spears at running back. I can live with that. J.J. Higgins, Johnson, Bateman, Myers, Adam Thielen. Pretty good wide receiver value throughout the draft tonight. So, obviously, you're led by J.J. and Higgins, so that's fine. I mean, we always kind of draft with the 2 flex spots. I know not all leagues run 2 flex spots, but for the Catch Fan free redraft tournament we do every year, there will be 2 flex spots. But I do think in full PPR, even if it's a double flex spot, like the wide receiver position holds the most merit on squads right now. So I think you did a good job of evaluating good late round value wide receiver. I love Bateman at 9.1, Myers at 10.12, and then I mean Thielen. I don't really personally think Thielen's going to have a great year, but he's fine as your final receiver off the board in the 11th. So, nonetheless, we're starting Herbert, starting Kittle, starting Pollard and Aaron Jones, starting JJ and Higgins, flexing Bateman, flexing Myers, and hopefully getting Johnston in the mix as the season goes on. Pirine and Zeke, some good handcuff values, and Spears for that matter as well. So, team looks fine to me, man. How do you feel about it? Feels good to be back in streaming, guys, by the way. All right, Cats. What did we do tonight, man? Watson. I'm fine with that at the 8.6. I'm not going to, like, if you draft a starting quarterback, unless I just absolutely despise them, like, you're going to be fine. And I don't see any quarterbacks off the board tonight that, J-Dubs has Trey Lance, but he drafted Daniel Jones. Like, I have Tua, I have Geno with him. You know, like, there's not really going to be a point where I'm going to be, like, pointing fingers at the quarterback position. All right, Goddard and Higbee at tight end. That's perfectly fine. I feel like Higbee is just, Stafford's going to be back, right? Like, that's all the indications that we have is that Stafford will be back. And Higbee had a very good year last year as your tight end 6. He just kind of towards the end of the year, outside of these two games, kind of started to have a slump compared to the consistency. I won't say a slump, but just was more consistent towards the first half of the year. Kind of slump in the middle, had some inconsistencies. Then, the Rams in general just had those 2 huge games. Cam Akers was winning people fantasy championships, and then kind of fizzled out to end the year. So, but overall, tight end 6 on the year. 620 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, and all the reports are indicating that Stafford is going to be fine. So, I think Higbee in the 11th is great, especially behind Goddard. Bijan, Chubb, Algier, Singletary, Foreman. Not my favorite late round guys, but you kind of just threw away the running back position after getting Bijan and Chubb, so look, I'm not really mad about that. Hopkins, I feel like Hopkins at 3.7 is a little bit earlier than we've seen for the most part, but I'm not knocking it. Hopkins, Ridley, Deontay, Hollywood. Very, very, very good 4 selections in a row. Elijah Moore as your 5th wide receiver. So, starting Watson, starting Goddard, Bijan, and Chubb. Starting Hopkins and Ridley, and then flexing Deontay and Hollywood. Starting lineup looks great. Bench is good enough. Bench is fine. It's redraft. Those handcuff running backs, committee running backs hold a lot of value as the season goes on. So, I like this team, man. How do you feel about it? JW, what we do tonight, man? Danny Dimes, Trey Lance. I'm good at that. Mandrews and Pitts is pretty filthy. Really late round quarterback build or running back build tonight. Monty, Madison, A-Chain, Mitchell. I'm not completely against that. You're in a position here though where you may flex a tight end at times, but Hill, Olave, London, Godwin, Shaheed, great wide receiver value. Yeah, this is just kind of your style and redraft. I'm not completely against it. It's like, it's not a hero running back build, but it almost is in the sense that, like, that first running back you select later on is who you're going to be depending on primarily throughout the season. And then you're rotating like Madison, A-Chain, and maybe Mitchell. And then you're playing the waiver and trading. So, it's interesting. I'm not against it, per se. But you obviously have less value at running back overall. But, like, I still like Monty in the 7th, Madison in the 8th, and A-Chain in the 9th. So, and even Mitchell in the 10th for that matter. All right, so we're starting Danny Dimes, starting Andrews, starting Hill, Olave, flexing London and Godwin. But you could flex Pitts as well. But let's say you're flexing the 2 receivers, starting Monty, starting Madison. Yeah, so you got Pitts, H.A. Mitchell, Shaheed, and Lance on the bench. Yeah. It's a good-looking squad, bro. How do you feel about it? Thomas, random question. Made a bet with a friend. Will JSN get more receiving yards or will Bijan get more rushing yards? I will go Bijan because I think JSN is going to have a productive rookie year for sure. But you still have Metcalf there. You still have Lockett there. Noah Fant didn't have a ton of receiving yards last year, but he's a factor. Walker and Charbs can catch the football. Bijan and Arthur Smith's offense is going to rack body yards, I go Bijan for sure. Boxing the Jack. What we do tonight, man? Jalen Hurts, say no more, and Njoku's a great value in the 9th. Sanders, Pacheco, Gibson, Damian Harris, and Ford. Yeah, running backs look pretty good. Man, what about the rumor of Russell Wilson being traded to the Eagles and then cutting the deal off? I think the Eagles are pretty happy with Russell's decision there. But, yeah, we didn't even get to touch on that. So happy Jalen Hurts got to remain the starter for the Eagles. Anyways, Adams, Brown, Cooper, Tony, Rondell Moore, Jalen Hyatt. Wide receivers look good, man. Good value on Moore and Hyatt. And Tony, for that matter. So we're starting Hurts, starting in Njoku, starting Sanders and Pacheco, starting Adams, Brown, flexing Cooper, flexing Tony. Leaves you with Gibson, Harris, Moore, Ford, and Hyatt on the bench. Looks good, man. Yeah, very well-built team, head to toe. I like that squad a lot. Andrea, hello. How are you doing? Let's take a look at your team. Prescott at quarterback. I'm completely fine with Prescott in the 8th round. If you're concerned about the interceptions last year, if you're concerned about the injury that popped up last year and then the injury before, you can draft a second quarterback, if you want. Excuse me, the injury in 2020, not 2021. But yeah, I mean, some bad games last year for Prescott, don't get me wrong, but a lot of good games as well. I'm fine with him as QB1. Komet, I love in the 10th round. Beautiful value. If he fell to 10.11, I would have been really happy and would have selected him. But you're starting running backs. Ramondre, Pierce, Connor, Cook, and Izzy. Running backs look fine to me. Yeah. Kupp, Smith, Pittman, Addison, Mingo, Hodgins. Wide receivers look just fine as well. I like the 2 rookies sprinkled in there. So we're starting Prescott, starting Komet, starting Stevenson and Pierce, starting Kupp and Smith, starting Pittman. And, I mean, probably as the season goes on, you're going to be able to flex Addison or Mingo, but maybe to start the year you've got Connor in there. So, nonetheless, I mean, the bench looks fine. You got Cook and Izzy. Listen, I really like Izzy, and I can definitely see him carving out a role with the Jets, but I think in redraft, I don't know if he needs to be drafted, at least in this style where we're playing with 5 bench spots, because I still think between Zonovan Knight, Carter, and Breece Hall, those guys, I don't know. I do think Izzy could carve out a role, but I could just see him being a player that ends up getting dropped off your roster if you draft him, but I just think there's so much competition at the position, but at the same time, you could scoop him up, see what happens, and hold on to him. But yeah, team looks good to me, Andrew. I like Hodgins in redraft a lot in the 13th. It's good value. Let's see here. Yeah, Thomas, I definitely think the Bijan side is the correct side of things. Stefan, what's going on? Hello. Good to see you in the house. What's up, man? Let's see here. I mean, JSN's going to have a great year for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Cats, I would never draft Argier, but I wanted to lock up Falcons' backfield. Oh, I'm an idiot, dude. Yeah, I mean, Algier, if you have Bijan's fine. And then, yeah, that helps your team. I'm sorry. Let's roast my team. Let's do it. Late round quarterback, late round tight end tonight. Yeah, when I picked Dylan and Lazard, I was sitting there if I get lucky, one of these guys will fall out. Looking at the tight end position, didn't happen. Just missed Cole Kmet. I think Jawan Johnson, the 13th, in redraft is okay, but I know that there are fantasy managers with Taysom Hill still there, and then Foster Moreau being added, who are a little bit worried, but I mean, Johnson had a very good year last year. I mean, I don't know. I fumbled a tight end last night. I got the best available option. Tua and Geno, I'm fine with. I mean, we talked about a late round quarterback build tonight. I'm fine with that. In the single quarterback redraft league, I'm perfectly okay with that. Obviously, we could have gone Cousins or Jones over Tua. I don't mind that. And for that second quarterback, we could have gone Rodgers or Goff or even Lance. And I'm good with all those guys, too. All right, running backs, we got Brees Hall, Etienne, White, Dillon, McKinnon. Could have gone Stevenson over Etienne, Walker, Gibbs. Retrospectively, I probably, if I was paying more attention, would go Gibbs in a real draft. But I'm fine with Etienne nonetheless. White, Dillon, and McKinnon, I love as later round guys, I should say. All right, wide receivers, Chase, DJ Moore, Watson, JSN, Lazard. So I feel a little thin at wide receiver, but usually when we run mocks, we do like 6 or 7 bench spots just for the sake of conversation. So, but I think realistically, this is a pretty even par team. 5 wide receivers, 5 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, a tight end. I don't have a problem with that. I feel like I like my running backs more than my wide receivers for some reason, but I think this wide receiver would be just fine. All right, so we'd be starting, let's say, Tua, starting Juwan Johnson, starting Hall and ETN, starting Chase and DJ Moore. And then I like this position I'm in because I'm probably going to flex Watson and JSN or Watson and Lazard, but I also have White, Dillon, McKinnon. All those guys are viable flex options, so have depth on my bench and a lot of players I can pull from to throw in the flex or either flex spot. So overall, I'm perfectly fine with this team. Doesn't like completely jump out of paper or on paper, I should say, but it's completely fine head to toe. So happy with it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I suppose that wraps it up for the night. Looks like we hit all the team reviews that you guys asked. Guys, it feels so good to be back and streaming, talking fantasy football with you guys. And I just really, really appreciate you guys as a community, everything that you guys have done so far throughout the off season. And just super excited to continue to dive into this fantasy season. And like I said, this is June 2nd. We're here. It's time. Draft of the night. I actually really like your team, Box and the Jack. I had that footnoted. Is that a word? Footnoted? Probably not a word, but I saved it in the back of my head. I really liked your team tonight. But I think a majority of the teams we went over tonight, we're all very good, for sure. I do like Cat's team as well. But I just think starting lineup Hurts and Njoku. I mean, good value on Njoku. Sanders and Pacheco, really good value there. Then Adams, Brown, Cooper, and Tony. I just like that starting lineup. So, but Cats is pretty close. J-Dub's an interesting build. Good squad as well. Yeah. Just good teams across the board per usual. But Box, yeah, it's funny you ask because I think that's the favorite team I reviewed at least. I feel like there's a lot of mouths to feed in New Orleans for a mediocre quarterback and Carr. Yeah, that's fair. But I do think that Olave, Shaheed, Juwan Johnson will be fine this year. I'd be most worried about Michael Thomas, to be honest. Happy to be back. Pete will be definitely getting together. I need to hit you up, man. I need to get some more scripts going so we can make some more shorts, my dude. But glad to have you in the stream tonight, and we'll definitely be hitting you up soon, my guy. Thomas, John was seeing if we could do Dynasty Mock on Sunday. Haven't got a solid one in for a while due to work and stuff. Yeah, I know for sure I'll be doing one for League One on Monday night, and I can do one Sunday, but I can't do it till like later in the night on Sunday night. So we could run an additional one Sunday for sure, but the scheduled one will be Monday night for League One. Then for League Two will be on Tuesday night, and then we need to get a single quarterback mock in as well for those of you guys in the second single quarterback league that I'm still finishing putting together. So we'll figure something out. But yeah, if you can do a little bit later in the night on Sunday, I can definitely get that scheduled. Like after I get the baby down before I stream, I can get that squeezed in, and then I can definitely do one on Monday as well, my dude. Yeah, Cats, I need to maybe tomorrow's Saturday, so we can take a look at the 1QB Dynasty League. We did a little bit last night for anyone who came out to last night's stream, so maybe tomorrow we can do that same kind of style where I do like an underdog draft and then go over some of the Dynasty teams as well. it's like it's not even worth like. I mean, it probably is worth it, but doing a stream that's just completely going over that draft would just be ridiculous. Like we kind of dove into it last night, and it was like, yeah, this is insanity. Trades will definitely be happening. That's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, I'm good with going over some more of the dynasty teams tomorrow night for sure, Cats. Absolutely, man. All right, guys, you know what to do. Hit that like button on the way out. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you for being here. Hit that subscribe button on the way out, and check out the links down below. Follow us on Instagram, join the free Discord, all that good stuff. And I just appreciate you guys hanging out tonight, man. Always have fun with you guys. And like I said, just feels good to be back streaming with you guys. Hanging out with you guys, talking fantasy football. And yeah, we'll be on tomorrow. And I'll probably get into another puppy on Underdog. And just go over some dynasty teams. And we'll go from there for the week. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you guys. You guys know who you are. And hit me up on Discord or Instagram if you guys need anything. And that'll wrap it up for the night. Thank you guys so much to those of you guys who drafted with me. And thank you to everyone who came out tonight. So love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. And with that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And